How good is Ground Zero for making money? BSG added a different version of the map for high level players, which means if you are level 21 and above, Kollontay, airdrops, and high value loot like bitcoins, GPUs, and blue folders can now spawn in your raids. And also scav difficulty is increased, but we never died of scavs, right? So on my way to making 1 billion rubles, I made 100 mil on Ground Zero to try to answer this question, and I'll teach you exactly how I did it. The first thing I learned is that to safely navigate around Ground Zero, you must learn to avoid the dangerous parts of the map. To start with, avoid anywhere in the open on ground level, as there are many buildings that make it easy for snipers to safely camp, and later in the raid, as more AI spawn, you can easily find yourself with no cover, getting shot at by multiple scavs from many directions. For a similar reason, avoid any ground floors of buildings that have a large amount of windows rather than hard cover. There are also 3 buildings that I generally avoid unless I spawn there, and they are Terragroup, Capital Insight, and Fusion. For Terragroup, unless you spawn here or have a quest to do here, avoid the building at all costs because, for one, there isn't much cover to and from the building. 2, the interior layout greatly advantages anyone camping inside against people trying to push in. For example, you can get caught in this hallway here, or someone could camp up here, or as you're pushing up the stairs, you have no cover against someone peeking from the top, and while looting the top, you can get sniped at from other buildings if you are standing. If you must visit Terragroup for your quest, then I recommend waiting at least 15 minutes to allow PMCs to leave the area, or if you spawn there, then try to get your quest done and get out within 2 minutes. If you think the top floor is being camped and think it's worth the risk of getting sniped from behind, then you can try this parkour to get inside from the outside. With high strength, you can use this ramp. Once you're up here, you need to sprint jump, then walking jump for the final part. The lowest strength I've done this with is 33, so if your strength isn't high enough, you can try using a Meldonin or other strength stims to get the required strength. At lower strength, you need to jump from the chair to the sign, then up, and to get out the same way, simply first vault onto a table, and then from the balcony, sprint off here. For now, you can also use a balcony to get into the quest room. Remember, all these parkour tricks risk getting sniped at from PMCs and AI. Keep in mind, BSG has been nerfing strength jump height gradually over my 4 years of playing, so the strength requirement will only increase over time. Now, for Terragroup loot, we'll start on the Mira Extract side. That's Mira Extract over there, and this is the Terragroup garage. Basically, I skip all of this and the hallway in front because it's really easy for someone to get a long angle on you and kill you while you're looting. So yeah, there are a bunch of containers and like dead scavs and things around here, and suitcases and stuff in the main area, but I skip it all because it's way too exposed and yeah, too dangerous to loot. Up the top is mostly where I loot, so you can check all the sides, all around the sides for like really scattered barter items. Dead scav there and a few items back there. But all of these sofas, you know, you can get kind of bad ammo and occasionally a random barter item and food item. Suitcase here. And filing cabinet, and usually a toolbox or a duffel or two down here. Starting with room 3. We can get med bags, meds on top of here. Good for your early slavers. Duffel. Scattered barter and food items along the tables, like the chairs as well. There's one good, I know of one good spawn in this room, which is the a blue folder can spawn right there. And of course, another filing cabinet. To get into this room without the key, we can simply jump up here, break the glass, and we're in. And here we have a few computers, and a lot of filing cabinets, and occasionally some scattered loot on the tables. And to get out, just vault up onto any of these tables, like either this one should do it, and out we go. Also avoid Capital Insight unless you spawn here as similar to Terragroup, there is a strong defender's advantage, and also you need to run out into the open in order to get inside. If you are stuck inside, perhaps you're getting camped by a squad outside or on the ground floor, then as a last resort you can jump out here. I'd pre-pop a Propital though, as you will at least break a leg. Now for Capital Insight loot, we're out the front, so that's Mira Extract over there, Empire there, Fusion there, and go into Capital Insight. I usually ignore the ground floor. There are a few things, but it's not great. Go immediately upstairs. And always check any of these benches as you're running along. And, you know, any of these sofas. Not much spawns here, but if, you know, on the rare occasion something nice will spawn, you may as well check it while you're running past. I've gotten occasional gold spawns on this table, but usually food and bar items. And just check along here as well. I've gotten 1 Bitcoin either here or here. Check around this table. Check here, here, and there. Then we'll run up. As you're running up, be careful of players camping up here, unless you spawn here. And I really only loot here if I spawn here. Then here there are a bunch of PCs, and filing cabinet, some food and random items scattered on the tables. I don't loot that PC because it's so exposed to scavs wandering around, but I can usually get away with this one if I loot it from this side. And a bit of food can spawn on these tables, and on that table over there, all along here, Food is pretty good. Yeah, like, it's definitely undervalued. Especially if you get a few alionkas or sugars. Really, really good value. And I've gotten a Bitcoin either there or there. I forget now. But I always check here and along there. But here mostly just there's a bunch of computers. Many computers. And toolbox. And yeah, a lot of computers and scattered item on all the tables. And another computer here. And I haven't gotten meds there yet, although you'd expect to see meds there with that kind of, yeah, with what that looks like. For Fusion, I've noticed high PMC traffic while I've been looting here, as there are often PMCs coming from Capital and heading to the underground, or they're on their way to extract at Nakatani. So I only loot here on my way from Capital if I'm desperate for loot. Now covering Fusion loot, we'll start at the back of Fusion. So that's Mira Extract over there, and this is a common spawn. Just immediately come up, loot this safe, right inside here, hit some toolboxes, and 2 computers. Another toolbox, I think there or there, and just check all these tables. And sofas. And then there are some purple suitcases here. And then to get around to the main area of Fusion, it's a lot safer if you go via the underground. We're at the underground section of Fusion. And we'll go up. Don't loot anywhere here or up there. It's a little bit too dangerous. Very open. But where I do like to loot is if I can open this door. It's here. Some food here. And a bunch of PCs and random things on the tables. PCs. And quickly scan these tables as well for any like food and barter items. Now, I wouldn't recommend looting over here. So if we go this way, this is the ground floor connector to this restaurant, and there are some meds here and med bags, but this is really dangerous to loot, especially a bit later into the raid, as if there's a scav or Kollontay out there, they will just beam you through all of this. It's really hard for you to see them, but very easy for them to see you. And also there's another way to enter here. So this is the ground floor, and if we go back here, and up 1 floor, then we're at the top floor of that same building. But yeah, pretty sketchy to loot. I would only loot through here if you're desperate for loot. As well as I would also avoid, unless you're desperate, I would avoid this whole area over here, which is part of the same building. this whole area a void because of these giant windows. Like, you can be in here and have 4 or 5 scavs just shooting at you. So yeah, not a good idea. But if you do want to go up there, like, often I've found people with the Balti camping up here, then come up these stairs and you can clear it through. There are also mines and snipers guarding parts of the boundary of the map, so as long as you either pay attention to the in-game signs or use this map, you'll be able to easily avoid going out of bounds and die into them. However, there is one Claymore that is easy to miss and kills a lot of players new to the map, and that is on the ground floor of Empire right here in the corner. There are a bunch of places I love to loot because I can get to and from the loot without being exposed too much to long angles. And they are the underground, the top floor of Empire, and Skyside. The underground connects many buildings together and is my preferred way to rotate around ground zero due to the large amount of cover there is that blocks long angles. Now for underground loot, we'll start on the fusion end of underground. For the entirety of underground, there can be scattered barter items on any of these pallets, on like the backs of trucks. So anywhere, yeah, anywhere like loosely out in the open, just have a quick scan for. And there are some random containers in the open, but usually I skip it because it's a little bit exposed and I prefer to loot things like on the edges. But just keep in mind as you run down there, as you run down through underground, that there are scattered containers and items in the middle, but pretty risky. Yeah, usually it's not worth the risk. So a big tech crate can spawn here and you can loot it from below. You don't have to jump into the back of the truck. And one can spawn here and there. Loose barter items there. And also here. And I think there. So let me be sure to check all of these. And the back of that. And there's a few dead bodies that can spawn around. But typically I just run straight down to here. 2 tech crates can spawn in here. Just random where they spawn. And I got a couple of jackets, barter items can spawn there. And usually a duffel or a toolbox. And on either side, I'm not sure which side. I forget. Barter items. But loose barter items, toolbox, and a tech crate. And then there'll be some overlap with the Skyside section of the video, but all the Skyside loot, which we'll get into. And duffel, and I think a toolbox, and another tech crate to spawn here, and dead body. And barter items. All the back of that truck, barter items. A couple more dead bodies and duffels, but typically that's all I loot for the underground. For Empire loot, we'll start on the Terragroup side, so it's Terragroup over there, Empire here. Basically I skip all of the ground floor because it's a little bit dangerous, a little bit exposed, because it's easy for scavs and players to come up while you're looting and kill you. So I skip all of this. I rarely hit this as well, like only if I'm, if I'm running past and I'm able to quickly pick up something nice like that. Sometimes it's safe as a lootable. It's a little bit buggy at the moment. This time we can't loot it, but it's sometimes lootable. But normally I just focus on going upstairs. If you're not here fast, you need to worry about people at the top. But if you're like spawning very close by, then you can just run straight up. But if you're not here early, then just clear around like this. Because people could be hiding behind there or behind here. Usually there's a crate, tech crate there, and I forgot to mention there are a couple of filing cabinets there. And med crate, food, bunch of food and random barter items on all these tables. And a few PCs and a toolbox there or there. I like to loot this PC by hitting F and then crouching here because this window I've died quite a few times through this window to players and scavs, so I don't actually loot this PC or that duffel. Just check all these tables. All these tables. PC, crate, another crate, toolbox, and I think a modded G36 or something like that can spawn there. And something, I think a weapon part there. For Skyside loot, we'll start at the underground section of Skyside. So this is Skyside in the underground. And you want to check all along the sides here for containers and loose barter items. Dead scav. Usually a few tech crates and toolboxes as well, and duffels. All along. Run right up. You got to be the most cautious running from here out in the open to over there. But first we'll talk about this area. I usually skip here because I don't I don't have much of a trouble filling up my bag. But you can loot in here. There's some toolboxes and some vodkas, and there's also a quest here. I haven't found a moonshine here yet, which I would have expected I would eventually. But just be really careful of scavs shooting through the windows if you're gonna loot through there. And just check all the shelves along the walls. But typically, I just book it straight through here because there can be a bunch of scavs in Kollontay out there, and they will murder you. Yes. But typically, I avoid all that. Run in here. Toolbox, dead scav. Check all along the sides, both sides. You'll realize this is a common theme to check all the sides for barter items and different containers that can spawn. Now here, generally it's a bit safer because we're kind of on the edge of the map. So you want to check all the back here for random barter items and food items. All these tables, dead scav, well, businessman, I guess, resident. And yeah, check all along here quickly. Here as well. Bunch of food can spawn back here. And along the tables, along the tables there. And also we can go upstairs for a bit more food. It can spawn all along here. It only takes like a couple of nice food items to make it worth looting an area. Get that value per slot in your bag increased. And that's pretty much all I loot for Skyside. Currently, there are 3 usable keys for Ground Zero. The Terragroup Science Office key, which is a guaranteed spawn on this dead scav in Terragroup here, and opens this door upstairs and is needed for the quest Saving the Mole. The Underground Parking Utility Room key, which unlocks this door near the underground here, and it's pretty bad. It spawns a few different containers randomly, but I haven't found anything special in here yet. Although someone in chat mentioned that they found a gold spawn on this dead scav here. The Unity Credit Bank Cash Register key unlocks this door right next to the Claymore in Empire, but it only has a locked safe that I can't find a key for, and a filing cabinet. And one time I got dollars on the table. I don't recommend running any of these keys in your secure container. Kollontay can also spawn in the high level lobby. The wiki says he can spawn anywhere, but I've mostly seen him in the underground or roaming out in the open. Occasionally I've run into him on the ground floor of some buildings, such as Skyside, but never upstairs in areas like the top floor of Terragroup or Capital Insight. My favorite extract is Mira because it is easy to path to safely, and every spawn on the map has this extract available. Now, Mira Extract can be a little bit tricky to use, so I'm going to explain it now. What you need is a green flare, either handheld or the gun, and you need to be shooting a green flare from the gun, but I much prefer the handheld since it's a lot cheaper and easier to get. And also, a handheld flare has a guaranteed spawn on this dead scav here, but always bring one in raid if you're planning on taking Mira Extract because someone else could loot it and take the extract before you get there. So what you want to do is, basically how it works is that from about here to around there, when we're still safe, we're not going to get shot, but that's where this is a signal flare zone, a signal zone. So if you notice, look in the bottom right now, I'm going to walk into the signal zone and a little pop-up will appear. Signal flare area. So as long as we're in this area, we're safe, but this is where we need to pop the green flare. So if we go beyond this area and go more over there, without popping the green flare, we're going to die to the boundary snipers. So in this area, what you want to do is look up a little bit, say maybe like 45, 50 degrees up from the horizon, and then just shoot the flare. Shoot the flare up. You see how the flare goes far higher than my center screen? I was like aiming here and it went up there. So just aim around there-ish. You'll be fine. Shoot it up. It'll shoot up. Wait like half a second, literally like half a second, and then run. I tested it, and if I was like right on the very edge of the signal zone, shot the flare and immediately ran, then I got shot at once or twice by the boundary snipers. So just give it like half a second, and then just keep running down here until you'll start to extract. And also, you don't need to immediately run. Like, see, I'm still safe here, still not getting shot. You can kind of take your time, especially if you're like PvPing or whatever, someone's trying to camp you. Don't feel like you have to immediately come here. You'll probably find for a minute or two. I haven't tested it for longer than that. And you just take out the extract. Go out here and you're done. Very easy. Very, very, very easy. Where I loot depends on where I spawn. So I have 3 main routes. If I spawn anywhere that is near the underground, I'll head to the underground, then go to the top floor of Empire, then come back to the underground and head to Mira through either Skyside or next to the ramp. If I spawn anywhere around Terragroup, then I'll loot Terragroup and usually skip Car Extract because it's so out in the open and head to Empire, then the underground, and then Skyside and Mira. Lastly, if I spawn near Capital Insight, then I'll loot the upstairs of Capital, head through Fusion to the underground, then Skyside and get out Mira. In summary, after having made about 1.5 billion rubles on streets over the last 2 wipes, and at least 100 mil on Ground Zero, I think Ground Zero is slightly worse for rubles per hour than streets, as it is difficult to survive if your raids are even half full, as the map is deceptively small, and it is easy for PMCs to camp buildings to snipe the open areas, or through the windows of other buildings. It can also get quite boring quickly, as you'll be farming the same areas over and over. However, right now we are about 4 months into the wipe, and the raids in the high-level version are extremely quiet on Oceania and Asian servers, so it is easy to survive, and the biggest factor that makes Ground Zero not the best map, but still pretty good for making money, is that every spawn is close to the loot, and it is a super short run to extract, which means that even though you'll get a lower quality of loot than streets, you'll be able to get a higher quantity of loot on average. Even if you don't plan on money running Ground Zero, I highly suggest at least learning how the flow of the map works, so that when you're completing your early wipe quests here, you won't be at a map knowledge disadvantage.